more kind of off the cuff, maybe a little bit more natural. The other one was kind of a highly edited, highly curated take of kind of my expectations and thought processes of kind of my first impressions, trying to get into the nitty gritty and really kind of go into the high details there. I think a lot of that is still true. A lot of my initial impressions, I believe, are kind of still my impressions now completing the game, or completing the game as it is. So this is going to be kind of a little bit more off the cuff and a little bit more raw in a way. So just got some footage kind of rolling in the back here, and got off camera and thought we'll just kind of walk through this. So I've completed now all of the content related to 3.0, including the events, all of the side quest content, and I'm kind of just clearing the maps at this point. So the overwhelming majority of the content I've seen, interacted with, and had a chance to kind of look at. And not only have I done it one time, I also run a free-to-play account on the side as well, and I'm kind of almost halfway to 2/3 of the way through at this point with that account. So I have a pretty good feel of how I feel, at least, about kind of how 3.0 is. So if you watched my content in relations to the initial kind of a reaction, I'm kind of in the same space, you know. Just to kind of let the cat out of the bag here and not edge you guys too much. I would give this, if I had to kind of give it a rating, it would probably be somewhere around a 7.3 to 7.5. I think a lot of what's here in regards to quality of life changes are great. They're good. They're going to help a lot of people create better teams, better synergies, and better accounts. But a lot of the time, I also think that like some of this stuff should have been in the game day one. So while it's praiseworthy that it's there, it's also hard to give it a ton of credit when it's something that should have probably been in the game to start with. Some of the sound issues that I noted in my initial impressions continue kind of in further. It's not nearly as bad as kind of the opening sequence. The EQ and balancing checks are a lot better, I think, further on. So I didn't really notice that as much or as harshly later on in the game, but playing through it again, it's still a problem in the early sections, so it hasn't been resolved. It's just maybe not an issue in other sections of the game nearly as much. And just noting now that I've had a chance to check in with all of the music that's available in the game, it's incredibly forgetful. I noted that in my first impressions, and it kind of holds true for the rest of the story and the gameplay and the different environments. Really don't have anything that kind of just really pulls you in and makes memorable kind of moments. Outside of a couple of boss fight scenarios, and one or two cutscenes where they really kind of like push that that kind of like flex of the music, so to speak, I guess. It really just doesn't hit super well. So moving on to the story, I think there's a lot of things that I've heard from other perspectives, and kind of experiencing it almost multiple times now. I feel that it's still in a good place. I like where we're at with the story and the world. I like what's effectively being asked of the player at this point. I liked that they were very inquisitive and in some ways just outright aggressive to you as an outside force, because it is kind of a really it's a world teetering on the balance of kind of utter destruction, and it has been for some time. So while a lot of the time you can look at the environments, and they may on the outside seem to kind of be this peaceful civilization, the more you know and the more you kind of hear and the more you get to know kind of the characters, you understand that this is just kind of an outward facade, and that in reality you're kind of entering a world that's teetering on the brink of existence one way or another, and it's definitely a more precarious situation than I think the majority of the outward appearances show. And I think they do this a good job. It creates some tension. It creates some kind of level of scope that this is a big problem, and we're here to kind of like interject ourselves into this problem and hopefully come up with a big solution. I have talked to a couple of other people. I had a kind of a I kind of had a little social issue here where I just did not understand the complaints that I was hearing from so many different creators that I really trust and like, and was really just kind of having like a moment where I was like, all right, am I losing touch? Am I not understanding the situation? Am I the problem here? Like almost got gaslit. It feels like. Um, but I think it comes down to kind of like a simple version of expectations, and I actually kind of was DMing with a specific creator, and I think the perspective that he gave me ended up kind of really giving me kind of a good idea of maybe why. And really it comes down to this. As someone that has played JRPGs the overwhelming majority of his life, I don't have a problem seeing exposition dump content. Like that's a common occurrence in the genre. That's something that happens fairly consistently. That if you've spent any time with like JRPGs from like the 90s to early 2000s, it's something that's just part of the experience. So maybe my brain has in a way been trained that it's just not a problem. But it's also something that I've always kind of enjoyed. I enjoy heavy dialogue games. I enjoy heavy world environments and story building and really immersing myself in the experience as much as I can. I just really enjoy story content like that. But I am coming into this game without the perspective of really kind of the previous experiences for a majority of the Honkai Star Rail player base. And as someone that came in during like a 2.4, 2.5 patch, I had a lot of game experience to go through. I basically binged the overwhelming majority of the game as quickly as I could. Getting through obviously the space station, Bellabog, the Lofu, and then Penacony. So to me, that content was all experienced in one go. And then we get into 3.0, and people are saying that it has roughly a 10-hour runtime, and to me that's perfect. That's where I'm comfortable. That's my home. But to everyone else, the expectation previously just wasn't these incredibly long, dialogue heavy, almost like Persona level of exposition that they were kind of used to, right? So to them, this is a drastic change to what they're used to what their expectations are when they play Honkai Star Rail. And while I feel comfortable with this and while I like this, that's definitely not the expectation for everybody. And that's a valid form of criticism, I believe. If you've been playing this game for, say, we're going on 3 years now, and you have a valid expectation of what you want this game to be and how you want it to play, who am I to say that that's wrong? Because you've had that expectation for the last 3 years. So I think that's a valid form of criticism that, I mean, maybe I just was having difficulty understanding, that I wasn't really kind of getting. And I think that that's something that really kind of opened my eyes to maybe just a different perspective that just wasn't my own. So lastly, I just want to kind of say, I still feel like we're in a good place here for story. I really kind of like where they're going with the Greek mythology and the setting and the backdrop. Obviously, I would like to see a little more high effort in some of the more cutscenes in the latter end. While the front end of 3.0 is definitely more cinematic than I think the last half until the very end, really. I think that they can definitely kind of keep that quality up moving forward. So I definitely kind of would like to see that level of effort continue, not just for the beginning, but throughout the entirety of a patch content release. And I would like to see more effort given in the presentation in some ways as well. I feel like the latter half ended up just becoming kind of delayed with a lot of puzzle content. And while I enjoy puzzle content enough, I think what ends up happening, and it reminds me, and I said it on stream, but it reminds me almost of playing like a PlayStation 2 action adventure game, where they're trying to do a little bit they're trying to do a little bit of fat and increasing the run length by effectively adding kind of puzzle rooms that are just completely unnecessary. In fact, I think I even kind of mentioned on stream that it was a lot like playing God of War 1 or 2 due to the Greek mythology kind of like part, but just the kind of unnecessary puzzle areas that end up just kind of bloating the runtime. But that's kind of my overall perspectives of this. I just wanted to make a really quick video here, kind of following up on my overall thoughts. Kind of do it a different format, maybe do a little bit of riffing here and just see how that kind of performed. Maybe if you like this, be sure to let me know. If you don't like it, also let me know. I'm sure there's going to be someone that likes this and someone that's hate this, so it's fine. But yeah, remember, games are a conversation. Always feel free to jump down in the comments and give me some engagement. I'm always happy to engage back and forth with that, so I'll try to engage with that as I can. If you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, I'm a new content creator to this space and really content creation in general. So it means the absolute world to me to have anybody that kind of engages with this. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch. If you want to engage with me live and in person, you can always catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/TillianPlay. But other than that, man, I'm going to get out of here. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.